be kind of a weird video. Not weird, but I had no intention of filming today. I had no intention of doing what I'm doing today, but I felt called to document it, so we're gonna document it. Sorry, I'm like half asleep right now. I have been in the apartment that I'm currently in right now for the past 2 years since, well, not 2 years, almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in September, but I moved here to Atlanta from Miami in 2022, basically after my life came crashing down and I had to start a new foundation for myself. And at that time, I thought I knew what I was doing, but since I've been in Atlanta, I've been humbled several times by, I would say, the Most High, basically redirecting me to get me in alignment with what was always truly intended for me and not what I thought was intended for me and what like my ego desires were. Where I am right now is completely different from what I envisioned my life would be when I first moved here. Like I said, I've had to go through a lot of humbling experiences, a lot of ego deaths, a lot of internal transformations, a lot of things that I've spoken about online. Like I do have my Substack and I have my kind of like spiritual page on Instagram where I've been talking about some of the things I've been going through in my journey, but I don't think I've really like gone to the depths of what it has truly done for me. And part of that is because I didn't really know what was happening when it was happening. I would call it a spiritual awakening, but that just sounds so like, I feel like when you hear spiritual awakening, you think of like the weird way that society has now painted that picture to be. And I would just say I've kind of gone through this process of removing all of these layers of myself that caused me to begin creating a life that was not in alignment with me and my higher self, which has now given me the privilege of being able to finally hear my own voice and hear myself and feel more grounded and connected to my higher self. I guess you could say coming home to myself, spiritual awakening, coming home to myself, however you want to name it. Every time I would think, okay, we're coming up at the end, we're coming up at the end, we're coming up at the end. I'm literally about to get emotional. Every time I would be like, we're coming up at the end, it's almost over, it's almost over. It would be another thing, another thing, another thing. And at one point, I really started to like doubt myself and feel like everything that I've been working so hard for was like for nothing. Like I said, I finally feel like I'm starting to understand why I had to go through everything I went through and why I felt kind of isolated, why I felt like my path and my trajectory as what I thought I wanted to be as an influencer has not looked like the typical influencer. And I see now that sometimes when you're not on the right trajectory, the divine has a very funny way of knocking you all the way back down to ground zero so that way you can rebuild the right foundation for what is meant for you. Today feels like the first step towards what I thought my new beginning was going to be when I first moved here. And even that feels, sorry, why am I so emotional? Even that feels like scary to say because like I said, every time I think I would get there, it would be another thing, another thing, another thing. And like I was even skeptical to start recording today because I'm like, I don't want to feel disappointed if this is not what it feels like it is. And it's like, no, it's okay. It's okay to share this. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to feel the way that you feel because it's happening. And it's okay to know that it's really happening. So I have moved so many times, you guys. Like if you've been following my journey, I moved from Baltimore when I was 18 to move to go to school in Miami. So that was my first big move. That was back in 2015, almost 10 years ago. I lived in Miami for 7 years. During those 7 years, I had 1, 2, 3. I had 3 different apartments in the span. Well, was it 3? It had to be more than 3. 1, 2. Yeah, 3 apartments. Basically moving almost every year after I graduated college. Then I moved to Atlanta, like I said, in 2022. I was in a different apartment and things didn't end up going the way that I wanted, and I ended up having to downgrade into the apartment that I'm at right now. So I've had 2 apartments since I've been in Atlanta, in the same building but 2 different apartments. And so this year I was like, I'm not moving. This year I was like, I'm done moving. I'm tired of moving. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't want to go through this process. Like, moving is so stressful. And even though I didn't love where I'm at right now, like, I don't love the location, like, not the location of the building itself, but I don't really love the positioning it is in the building. It doesn't get a whole lot of natural light. It can be kind of depressing, low-key, because I'm in the back of the building. But this was like the cheapest unit that they had, and at the time it just made sense for me to just, you know, whatever. I was like, I'm gonna stay here at least another year until I figure out what my next direction really is gonna be, and I can actually have a sense of foundation with my finances. Because since I've been in Atlanta, my finances have been so up and down, like basically almost back to the beginning of my influencer journey. And so I just wanted to feel more secure before I moved. And I told myself if I was gonna move, I was gonna move into a space that was like an upgrade, you know, like I didn't want to have to like go backwards or like whatever. So I was like, I'm gonna stay here, whatever. You guys know how when you're about to move out of an apartment, you have to let them know like 60 days in advance. So my 60 days in advance was coming up, and like I said, I was so set on just staying here, staying put. Even though I kind of knew in my heart that I didn't want to stay here, I knew in my spirit that I wanted to move. Like, I knew that I wanted to be in a more lively area as well, because when I first moved here, I literally found this place on TikTok and was just like, yeah, this is the one. Like, I was just trying to like get out of my previous situation in Miami and just start over, you know. So when I came here, this was the first apartment I looked at. I signed the lease, and I'm not in the city, like I'm not in the depths of Atlanta, which is what I've wanted. I wanted to be in a more like people focused, artsy city like area. Like, I can get into the city when I want to. It's not too far of a drive, but like I wanted to be in the city. But where my finances was looking like, I was like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I'd be living above my means. The people called me because I've been like sitting on it. You know how they send you your renewal rates. They sent me my renewal rates, I think on like the 1st of June, and today is the 17th of June. And I was like, just sitting on it, like I wanted to really be sure. Even though I was like sure in my mind, I wanted to like let the universe show me like if I was really sure about staying. So I've been like putting it off because I have until the end of June to really like let them know if I'm gonna renew or not. The people called me over this weekend and was basically trying to like rush me to make a decision. And one thing I've learned about myself is that I tend to rush into things too quickly. I like, if I feel pressure to make a decision, I will just do it on the spot. And I almost did it, y'all. I almost gave in because the guy was like, you know, if you renew now, we might be able to negotiate a lower rate, blah, 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 blah. He literally sent me the lease to sign. It's just still sitting in my email. But last night, for some reason, because there had been some apartments I've been looking at in Midtown in Atlanta, which is like, it's not downtown, but it's like, you know, popular city area. And it's the area that I always said that I wanted to move to when I was ready to move. I was like, let me just look at this apartment complex I had looked at before and just see what the prices are, because obviously my rate here would be going up. So I'm like, if I can find something else that's like close to the same rate, you know, let's just see, right? So I look it up, and there had been a couple like floor plans that I had saved at this place, but like I said, in my head I was not moving. But a floor plan that I had never seen came up, and I was like, oh my goodness. When I saw it, like everything about it was perfect. It's only $200 more than what my new rate would be here. I don't have a car anymore. That's something else I had to get rid of when my finances kind of crashed. And so I feel like financially, you know, an extra $200 to be in the city where I don't really need a car. And so that's how we ended up here this morning. Because last night they were literally having this special where you get 8 weeks free if you applied by 12 a.m. last night. So I literally applied real quick. I haven't even seen it in person yet. So that's where we're going this morning. I know this was a really long-winded story. I didn't know it was going to be this long, but yeah. So I applied last night, didn't even look, but I wanted to make sure that I did it in time to catch the sale. So now this morning I'm about to actually go to the apartment complex and see it in person and just kind of like put a face to a name to see if I can get approved for this apartment. Because if I can, this is where trusting my higher self comes in, because it is still kind of above my means. Like I said, I feel this new beginning coming. I feel it brewing, but I don't have any proof of what it's gonna look like yet. And so I feel like that is why I'm being pushed to record this, because I'm scared and I don't want to be disappointed. But at the same time, I know that in order for me to get the abundance that I've always seen for myself, I have to take these risks. And I've always been that person to take risks. So it does not make sense for me to stop now. All because my ego says, we're not moving again. We're not doing this again, blah, blah, blah. And my mom's calling me because she knows about the situation. So let me talk to her real quick. Okay, so yeah. That's where we are right now. And I want to document this. Well, I don't really want to, but we're going to. These past few months, I've just been not really wanting to record. It's just been me deepening my connection with myself and like doing a lot of internal work, so I haven't really had much to show anyway. Sorry, Frenchie's playing with his big toys, so you could probably hear it smacking against the floor. But like I said, I feel like I'm finally about to step into a new beginning, the real new beginning, the one that is not based on like my ego, and it's based on my higher self, which feels really, 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 really good. Finally, after a lot of work, a lot of transformations, a lot of like having to wipe the slate clean, having tough conversations with myself, with other people, letting things go, letting people go, starting over with new situations and new places. It's like, okay, girl, now that you got a clean slate, what you gonna do with it? How deep are you really gonna trust? And so I'm gonna bring y'all along with me, and we're gonna see how this goes.